welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston, and it is wonderful to have you here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 7th of April 2025. We are fully into April's weekly overviews as we get stuck into the week. But first, you know the drill. We always go back. We think back what happened last week. Last week, we were working with abysmal Hexagram 29, the water barreling down the ravine towards us. And what we have to do, we can't hang on, cling on to the side. We have to let go. We have to let the water take us. That wonderfully challenging changing line, speaking about, don't get caught up in a fatal diversion. It's too much for you. Pull back, okay? And we also had Hexagram 48, the well, the structure, perhaps the way out, or the path to victory out of all this hectic water energy barreling down, is helping us to focus on building the structures that help us tap into abundance, tap into the resources we need as we need them. It takes no stretch of the imagination to reflect back on the week gone past and see how, for many, the water barreled down the ravine out of nowhere, okay? And how important the well is, being able to tap into a well, to build a well that allows you to draw up water as you need it. Our world is in total and absolute chaos. And I think of that energy, as I spoke about, of this water suddenly coming down, and you're seeing this white water come down like almost like a flash flood, and you having to let go into the water, and feeling of like claustrophobia and panic. This was our world this past week. I mean, we couldn't possibly have had a better hexagram to bring us what it feels like to have an unexpected breach of water barreling down on us at 1,000 miles an hour down the ravine. So working with that, working with the well, working with bringing that structure and our focus on the structures that we are building to help us tap into that. I affirm that you got through last week, that you were not carried away in a wild and hysterical journey of fear through that ravine, through the abysmal, that you made it out, that you were able to let go, and you focused all your love and care on the well in front of you, building and looking after the well and digging deep into that well for what you needed. Very interesting times. Okay, so this week, what are we paying attention to as we work with the I Ching and the flows in our own lives and our businesses? Our first hexagram for this week is hexagram 31, influence. This is the hexagram of the attraction of courtship. So we have got a couple that speak to marriage in the hexagram. So this is the love affair, okay, before it becomes a marriage. Courtship, dating, attraction, okay. So what this hexagram brings to us, two facets. One facet is what really calls to us, what really attracts us at this time, right? There's a good chance that something in the week is going to call to us, is going to spike our attention, okay, is going to get us connected. And this hexagram really talks about things that belong together being rejoined together. The two lovers who are separated by time and space finally find each other, right? And so it's that idea of things coming back together, that belong together, the attraction, okay, of things that are meant to be. So we can often, in this energy of this hexagram, we can feel an attraction, a compulsion, a compelling influence, right, of something we feel powerful about, something we feel powerfully compelled to do, things that draw us, things that we just feel like we must go and do, whether that is going on a trip or doing something or starting an education program or the love affair or the relationship or whatever it might be, but there's a strong attraction in the energy, in the air. And what it does is it brings in that energy of, those neurons firing off. Okay, that is the energy that comes with this hexagram. Things that are attracted to each other, finding a way for it to become visible. And with that, the second part of it is how we can influence others. So one is, with this hexagram, we are being asked to tune into what is influencing us, right? What is getting those neurons going? Okay, what is getting us all excited? What is that thing that is influencing us to action? Okay, is it the highest and the best, right? What kind of influence is it? And then the second part is, what is the influence we're having on others? Okay, are we having that effect? So there's no doubt in my mind that the word influencer, when we're thinking about social media, right? It's a great way of understanding this hexagram. They put on a show, they do a thing, they've got a channel, they've got a Instagram, whatever their process is. They have products, they have followers, they have, something special that makes them interesting. They are powerfully impacting people. People feel attracted to what they're saying or doing, and not just physically, of course, mentally, emotionally attracted, and they can then influence the people who are their followers, right? So we are influenced and we are also influencers. So when we work with this hexagram, we always look at both sides, right? So with this hexagram, we need to take responsibility for how we are influencing others. From a business point of view, when you work with this hexagram, I always think of this hexagram as being how you influence others. Now, we can influence others by giving fake information or fake stories or selling our products with, qualities they don't have, or, making it sound better than it is. So we can influence negatively, untruthfully. But it's how we develop our ability to influence people in positive ways, to be clear and open and real about what we're selling, what we're trying to do, what we mean, what's our value, being truthful on that, and influencing those who belong with us to be with us. Remember, things that belong together, finding their way finally back together. Okay. So this week we are focusing on what we are feeling very drawn to and how we are, in the right way, influencing others to act. Now, there's only one changing line right at the top in the 6th position. And with this hexagram, the influence shows itself based on the structure of the hexagram in different parts of the body, starting with the toes. And right at the top, line 6, is the mouth, the words, the tongue. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Lots of talking. Okay. So with this hexagram, what we have to do is we have to be careful of not being influenced by the empty words and promises and talking and yakety of other people. And we also have to be aware that if we are spewing out noise, it doesn't have legs. Okay, we've got to be careful about how we share information. And if we are just gabbling, okay, blah, right, it's going to perhaps have a short-term effect, but it's not real. Unless there's real and there's depth and there's quality to what you're sharing, what's coming out your mouth, you're not going to have a lasting influence. And we want a lasting, sustainable influence. So we watch our words this week, and perhaps as we're talking in the week, we can think about this episode and say, is what's coming out my mouth just noise to fill the space? Am I awkward, so I'm getting this noise out? Or what is this process happening? What am I saying? Am I being careful and considered and sharing information that's truthful, that's real, that's considered? Like, what am I doing? Or am I just making noise? Okay. I'm sure you've had an experience where you've spent time with someone and they talk a lot of noise, lots of stories, lots of things. But when you unpack, what are they saying? They're saying nothing, just noise. Okay, don't be that person this week. Okay, so there's a risk here that there's some process going on here that our words go blah, 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 because they're empty. And as soon as they're out, we realize we have to backtrack and roll back because they're not sustainable, they're not real, they're not locked in something of reality. Right, so that gives us, our changing line leads to our second hexagram. Okay, only one changing line. Our second hexagram, which is part of the flow of the week, key part of that flow, is hexagram 33, retreat. So I find it quite interesting that with these empty words going out, you have to take your words back because they don't have substance. And then we have retreat. So you can see how when you have just one changing line, the meaning of that second hexagram is embedded in the changing line, right? Okay, so hexagram 33, retreat. talks about recognizing where we face a situation beyond us. Perhaps we're too exhausted, we're not ready for it, we don't have the right resources for it, we're not there, right? And we come across an enemy on the battlefield who's stronger than us, and our most and best strategic choice is to strategically retreat. It's not about running away with our tail between our legs. It's about recognizing where it is no longer good for us to go and continue to tackle this issue, all right? We have to go back to the cave, go back to our inner sanctum, retreat from the situation, take some time out, reflect, renew, review, okay, all the rewords, as we go back in and we get ourselves prepared for what is to come next. It's almost a regrouping, right? Let's reevaluate, more rewords, go back in, do that review, and when we are ready, when we have the insight, when we have the energy, all the capacity, all the right help, all the finances, whatever it is that we are feeling low on and feeling exposed on, once we have recuperated that, we can go back out and tackle it again. So it might literally be you're going on a retreat, okay, but it might be that you're withdrawing from something, not necessarily forever, for a time period to reflect and review and renew. And perhaps there's an opportunity to have a little bit of a break, all right, to have a little bit of a withdrawal from stuff happening around you, perhaps all the world noise around us, taking that a little bit of a break, rethinking, okay, getting that little bit of thinking space, that private space to allow us to put ourselves back together again, and then we go out at some other time when we are ready. So the energy of being influenced, okay, feeling compelled, all right, watch those impulses this week. Look for the higher principle impulses where our higher self, our intuitive self is calling us, is giving us that bing, 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 pay attention here, there's a connection. The things that belong together, that were separated, now need to be put back together. So where that higher principle is driving you, watch your words, work with that idea of making sure our words have power, they're not empty and voluminous unnecessarily. And of course, there'll be some aspect of the week where we need to just pull back a little bit, pull away from something, giving us time to reflect and review and renew. A powerful week as we work with this energy, all right, being drawn forward and pulling back. These two energies working with us. Let's see how it pans out for us this week. If you like this or enjoyed it, a thumbs up, a like, or even a share would be really great. And of course, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the follow button if you're on the podcast version, if you'd like to hear more and like to hear our weekly and monthly episodes. Until then, take care.